Welcome to the YouTube studio at the Munich Security Conference. I am Adanna Steinacker, and I am joined by Düzen Tekkal, a truly inspiring woman and the chairwoman behind the human rights organization Hawa Help. It's great to have you here, Düzen.
Thank you so much for being here, Adanna.
I looked up the word Hawa, which is a Yazidi word for cry for help.
Yes.
And it's truly inspiring to see how the journey back to your roots has evolved into this mission to fight for human rights. And I'm so inspired by your work.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. A lot of the work you do is to support women and girls living in conflict zones, such as Iraq, Afghanistan. So based on your experience, let's start with understanding how conflicts uniquely affect women and girls and what are the long-term implications of that.
I met very strong women in my life, and I was born and raised in Germany, but my roots are Kurdish and Yazidi. And when it comes to the genocide in 2014, that was my life-changing moment. So I turned into a human rights activist and war reporter overnight because of the genocide against my community, because there was a genocide happen against Yazidi people in the 21st century, but no one was interested. And I was in my secure Germany, but there was this, I don't know, inner belief that I have to go there and show the world, and especially Germany, what is happening there. And the women that I met were not victims, they were agents of change, and they called themselves survivors. So at that time, at the first time when I went to Iraq to document the genocide, I didn't know what will happen. And at that time, the women were still in captivity. So that was the moment when ISIS invaded Iraq and Syria and took our girls and sold them in slave market in the 21st century. Just imagine little children, people and survivors like Nadia Murad and many more. And I think the difference was, instead of that, what happened to us before, that was not the first genocide against my religious community, but it was the first time that the world noticed what happened. And the reason for that were our brave women, because they broke the silence.
Yes.
And it was about the fact that rape is the weapon of war, but also for the perpetrators, when you are silent, they feel more comfortable, of course. And that was something, which was very, very deep and very powerful, that our women said, I'm not a victim anymore, I'm a survivor. For example, my name is Najla Mato, Nadia Murad, and I was in captivity, but I'm still here. Fear is no option, and I'm stronger than ISIS. And that is something that gave us a lot of power. And then I went back to Germany, and nothing was as it was before. And then I said to my sisters, I have 10 siblings, we are 7 girls, and I said to my siblings, we have to found out an organization, a human rights organization, because we have to raise the voices. And I gave the women a promise in Iraq and in Syria. And now we have about 10 years when the genocide happened, and till today there are still 2,700 women who are still missed in captivity, 2,700 Yazidi women. We don't know who they are, but we will fight until the last girl is coming back.
And I can imagine that changing point for you, like you said, sitting very safely in Germany and learning about the bravery and fearlessness of women on the ground. It makes you really question, why shouldn't I do more? If women living in conflict zones are saying, I am not a victim, I'm a survivor, it really also gives you so much more enthusiasm and motivation to do more. And it's great to also see, like you said, it's 10 years ago now, but that has evolved into human rights, whether it's the Iranian revolution or whether it's using sexual violence as a weapon of war. It's amazing to see how that organization has grown. So at the Munich Security Conference, you attended a panel conversation on using sexual violence as a weapon of war. For somebody who doesn't understand that as a concept, can you explain what that means?
Yeah, that means that sexual violence as a weapon of war is something which we have since we have wars, and it's always against women, but it's against all. It's not just about the women or the girls, it's about a family, for example. And yes, I was remembering my first time at the Munich Security Conference many years before, when no one was listening to us. And we had to explain who Yazidis are, that there was a genocide happening. So the recognition was very important for us, especially in Germany last year, but the situation is still very challenging. So the women are still in captivity. Many of them gave birth because of rape to the children, but there are still problems that are not allowed to take the children back because they are not accepted. So they are in a big dilemma, and this is also a taboo which we are not talking about. So of course, this means they get victimized.
Of course, and these are the long-term implications, right?
And the panel yesterday was, I think, very meaningful. For example, when I listened to Ubi Ageli from Nigeria, who initiated Bring Back Our Girls, and she made very clear that the forgotten victims of Nigeria needed power. And that was something where she said to herself, I can't wait for anyone anymore. That could be my daughter.
You should take action.
Yes, and I think we have to take the action. We have to take the responsibility. We have to make the difference. And this is something which we try to do every day with our human rights organization, Have Our Help, but also with our nationwide education initiative, German Dream. So we are talking about both sides, I would say, and the fact that we became the chance to grow up in peace and security. I was born and raised here, means for me a responsibility, and also to share your responsibility for the people who aren't able to be heard. And I know how painful it is because we were one of them. And I swore to myself, if we ever have a micro, we will never forget where we are from. And of course, it's not just a fight for Yazidi women. It's about Bosnian women from Rwanda, now in Ukraine. Very, very fresh, unfortunately, from the 7th October, the Israeli woman. So when I saw the first pictures on the 7th of October, that was, for me, as Yazidi woman, a déjà vu. That was the same pictures which I saw from Hamas, which I know from ISIS, and I understood in the second what is happening there. The dehumanization in times of digitalization and like a psychoterror. This is like the new jihadismus, where the perpetrators use for example, social media for fear and under pressure the people, and therefore I think we have to stay in solidarity, and we can't ask where are you from. It's always the same, and of course also the challenging and very awful situation of the Palestinian women in Gaza or Rafah right now, which is also dehumanized. It's always the women and children, and therefore we can't be victims anymore. We have to stay and stand up for ourselves.
And that is your big mission at How I Help, right? That human rights should be irrespective of your origin, your faith, your gender. It affects us all. And for me, it was really insightful or very eye-opening understanding that sexual violence in conflict zones or during times of war is an intentional strategy to destabilize the community, to stigmatize women, for ethnic cleansing sometimes. And just knowing how much more it impacts women and girls on a long-term basis is something that, even not just as a woman, but as a human being, understanding the impacts of that in those communities is really heartbreaking. So, of course, a big credit to you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
MSC, of course, we know is the largest forum to gather world leaders, organizations, NGOs to talk about international security. So what will be your message to governments that are here or international organizations? What are some of the key policies that you would recommend to make sure that women and girls are protected from sexual violence?
I think it's about that the fact that sexual violence is not a less of crime. As you described, it's against all, and you're raping a whole family. It disturbs identities, nationalities. So we have a very
And
high
post-generational stigmatization
of course,
as well. Right,
the trauma is going on, and I think it's very important to make clear it could be everyone. So we didn't accept that a war will happening near to us, not very far away from here. And everything what is happening has an effect of us. And I think a big message is listen to the people from the ground, listen to the people from the global south. We don't live in times anymore where we can show the others the world. I think we have to think about the fact that we can learn a lot from the ground. This is something which I find out, for example, for the civil rights movement in Iran, which we are working for, or the women who are in prison, for example, in Evin. And the message which they have and the power which they have is so inspiring. And I think we need more space and places for this kind of voices.
Of course.
And this is something what we try to do every day. And this is, for example, for me, one of the main reasons why I attend the Munich Security Conference, to make clear and to sensitize how important it is to listen to the women.
Exactly.
And we are not the better human beings, so don't understand me wrong. So I saw both sides. Of course I saw. So, for example, when we talk about ISIS, there was not just men who were perpetrators, we also had the women. So the fight against patriarchal structures is something which we have to do together with men.
Exactly.
Yeah? It's like a new world against the old world, I would say.
Yeah, and also it's really just... It's really just the most successful strategy. If you're going to advocate for something, you don't do it in a silo, right? Even when we push for gender equality, we can't have that conversation with only women. Men need to be involved. In this case, it's the same as well. If we're talking about sexual violence, it's not really targeted towards men, right? It's both parties. But I also see the need to bring more awareness, advocacy campaigns, to bring more international organizations involved, to create safe spaces for these women. But most importantly, like the women you described as the survivors, right? How are we integrating them back into society?
They need possibilities. So when I think about one ISIS survivor, when she came to Germany about over a special quota project and get asylum here, the doctors wanted to give her medicine, and she said, "I'm not ill. I need power. I need space. I want to speak. I want possibilities, opportunities."
Yes.
And this is something what we try to do at Hava. Very uncomplicated, very intersectional. What do you need? How can we help you?
Exactly.
So very, very concrete, very easy.
Yeah.
And this is something which is very important, that the women feel very self-confident. Otherwise, we have a big difference between the women who came to Germany, who are or worldwide, to Canada, Australia, US, and no one of them get like self-suicide. But we have, unfortunately, a very high rate in Iraq. And the reason is that they don't have any possibilities.
Yeah.
They are still living in the IDP camps. There's no chance to go back or return to homeland.
Yeah.
And then things like that are happening, and we have to talk about that. And it is like you have to give them possibilities everywhere. So our women empowerment centers in Iraq and in Kabul are, for us, the most important in our work.
Yeah, actually, so that's a good bridge to the next question, because a lot of the work you do, even in Germany, is through education, advocacy campaigns. I saw the brilliant film that you did that was showcased to high schools in Germany. So I wanted you to tell me about success stories in the work that you've done, right? Can you share some success
They are
stories?
so important. We need radical hope. We have to be our own storytellers. I know that there is a lot of pain. There's nothing more painful than genocide. So this is the last thing, how you can dehumanize human beings. But we have also talk about the hope
Yeah.
and the future. And that is something what the survivors said to us. They said, we survived and now we want to live.
Yeah.
And this is the meaning of Jinjian Azadi. Women, life, freedom. This is something which comes from the Kurdish movement, for example, and then went through Zanzandagi Azadi in the civil rights movement in Iran. But I think it's so important to stay for life. We want to live. We want to survive. This is also something what many Ukrainian women said to me. We don't want to die. And this is so important because despots like Putin want to make clear that death is more important than living because he needs his soldiers. So this is in a psychological way very important for him. Or many other despots or the mullah regime in Iran, the way how they kill their future, their people. But we want to live. And this is the meaning and care. I think the identity of Hava Help is Jinjian Azadi. And I think this is very important also for us as activists, that we don't have to be sad every day. You know, we need power. We have to laugh. And this is something where we have to give us power and go forward to do it together. Not as lonesome warriors. Because I don't have any problems. I'm living here. My life is secure. I have to be there for the other ones, you know? And this is something which we try to do. So sometimes when we share stories on social media, it is like, oh, you have fun. Yes, I have, because I'm a human being.
And that's a great way to end this conversation, radical hope. Thank you so much for your time, Madam Chairwoman.
You so much.
It's been a pleasure learning about your journey, and thank you so much for the multitude of women that you continue to inspire and empower along the way.
Thank you for having me,
you.
Adanna. Thank you.